tell me, Tenshi. Do you love me, even though you are not my dog and you are actually my aunt's? Please tell me.
俺はエミリアが好きだ。
Well, I guess it's time to go to the balcony. Time to kill myself.
You have no idea how many toys I've received in the past few months. I've been getting everything I've missed out on in the past few years, as a matter of fact. And although I think it's time for a break, I've got enough to keep these reviews rolling for at least 2 months while I use my cash to save up for a trip to Europe. So I suppose you're wondering why I've bought Quakewave when there's already an official masterpiece Shockwave on the market. The answer is simple. Personal preference. I'll go into further detail later on, but I can safely say that while I'm sure the official one is a fine figure, I just have my heart set on getting Quakewave. After coming across one on eBay from the same seller who sold me the MO1 Commander and my Iron Factory Evil Lord, of course I had to pick one up. There's not really much else to say. No witty intro, no crazy skits. Let's get started.
エミリアが好きだ。
Shockwave, true to his G1 counterpart, transforms into a space cannon. Unlike the original animation model, however, he has been given a boxier shape and a darker shade. The angular nature of this gun mode has turned a lot of people off, but if you can get past that, there shouldn't be any issues. It cleans up immaculately, and aside from the obvious arms hanging out the front, you'd be hard pressed to know this wasn't just a display piece. For me personally, it's a non-issue. I'm fine with the box cannon, and this is still clearly Shockwave either way. Whilst this mode doesn't have much in terms of paint details, where they are, they really pop out. The use of silver on the front, sides, and near the crosshairs do surprisingly well to keep things interesting. And the translucent purple crosshairs is spot on. Yes, it's translucent, not transparent. It's slightly cloudy, not completely clear. Also helps longevity. Aside from the paint, the detail also comes across really well with the sculpting. There's tons of greeveling and panel lining all over this thing, and if you really want to, you could go over it with a Gundam marker. I wouldn't though, as it'd get lost in this beautiful dark purple. See, this is the kind of purple I wanted. Not too light like the animation model or Takara's, but not too dark like the toy colours, and certainly not transparent. Seriously, why are people obsessing over these overpriced brittle decos? Now, I would have preferred the original colour scheme, which was a tad lighter, but I'm totally fine with this one. The colours were the main reason for getting this one over Takara's Shockwave, and it's a good thing too because the main con in this set could have been a deal breaker. The front section is pretty poor, and I don't just mean comparatively to the rest of the figure. It wobbles around, barely holding on, and there's no way to turn on the LEDs without taking it off. Not that the LEDs work on mine, as I swapped them out for a rotating hose to make the robot mode look better. Big mistake though, as now it's permanently made Shockwave's gun handle slide back and forth without anything to stop it. I probably should have left it installed the way it was. That said, this alt mode is pretty good. The solidity of the rest of the figure easily makes up for the atrocious front section. I'm not going to bother with a size comparison though, as he doesn't scale with anything. Well, he does fit in your hand, I guess that kind of counts. But he doesn't exactly have a trigger that you can use, but still, it's not really that important. The transformation to robot mode starts off with the biggest sin a transformer can do. Parts forming! It's horrible! Why do they do this? Well, simple, to bring it closer to G1. Thankfully after this is a fairly simple affair. It follows the G1 source material very closely, hence the parts forming backpack, so the conversion is simple but satisfying. Aside from the parts forming. It's a tad annoying when you have to extend the legs and torso, but the rails in there don't get stuck very often, so it's pretty good. The head's a bit of a problem though, with the cavity not really coming out as well as it could. Still, other than that, it's a solid effort. There's just one thing you need to keep in mind at the very end, and it's not the parts forming! Okay, just taking a look at Shockwave here, you may notice he looks fine, he's got everything done. However, I've intentionally missed out a step because one of the steps people think is impossible without a certain tool is the heel spurs, and I'm not sure if this is just on the reissue toy, or if it's on all copies of the toy. However, these heel spurs are really hard to get out. A lot of people say, oh, you need something in there to get in there and do it. When really, that's not the case. You'll notice that if I turn it upside down, there's a flat part. There's a flat part here. And there's a flat part here. There's an angular part. And if you just push on that, it just pops out. You just push on it. This one's a bit harder, but you push on it, and you don't need any tools. Maybe the first few times until it loosens up a bit, when you break in the molecules, the heel spurs will pop up, but even then, the heel spurs aren't that important. They help with a few poses, but, you know, not a lot, and I had the legs mistransformed. What the hell am I doing? There we go, now his legs don't look broken. But yes, it's really not that hard to get the heel spurs to work without, you know, and you don't need a tool for it. So yeah, good job on their design part, and if this isn't on the original copy, I'm sorry, but the re-release is fine. You can just do it. Shockwave's robot mode is almost a mirror image of his G1 counterpart, aside from some boxy proportions and a darker colour palette, and for me that's exactly what I wanted. His head? Nailed it. The torso? Nailed it. His legs? Perfect. A lot of people criticise the bulky legs, and I mean a lot of people. I'd much rather have these heavy boots though than the MP's anorexic lower section. Besides, the way these legs work end up making Shockwave look imposing, but inquisitive, encompassing both ends of the Shockwave spectrum. Kinda like the Legends figure. The transparent hand is also a very nice inclusion. And yes, it's transparent this time, and although there was an optional opaque one offered with the first release, I don't really see any point other than animation accuracy. The trans purple hand is so much of a staple of Shockwave at this point that even the Legends class figure had it. In terms of cons, there's only one I can really think of. As mentioned earlier, the replacement forearm is incredibly weak and the gun hand just flops out. There's not really much else to say. The paint's decent, it nails most of what it sets out to do, and that's it. For articulation, the head is on a ball joint that really only acts as a swivel. The shoulders move up and have universal joints with outward ratchets. He has a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, and his right hand has a wrist swivel, ball jointed thumb, and 2 rotation points on each figure. It's worth noting though that the ring finger and the pinky have one of their joints stuck together. He has a waist swivel, universal hips with forward ratchets, thigh swivel, 90-degree ratcheted knees, calf swivel, yeah I never thought I'd see one of those, 2 ankle tilts, one forward and one sideways, and toe articulation. For a masterpiece-like figure, it's happy to know you're getting masterpiece-like articulation. All in all, Shockwave's good. And that's all I can say about him. He's not the kind of toy that excels with a bang anymore, as a third-party MP scale is just oversaturated nowadays. He just sort of goes on with a quiet, logical smirk. He doesn't stand out very much in any specific category other than the fact that he's better than the original, but he succeeds in every category he sets out to take on. So, all in all, I guess 4 stars. Is he a must-have? Not really. However, if you're thinking of getting Shockwave, I'd recommend going with this one instead of Takara's, or Quake Blast. I hear that one's good too. I've got nothing against Takara, but they just swung and missed with that release. Next time, and I'm gonna do this in song, I'm gonna take...
No, Doc, just no. I'm sorry, I can't do this next time anymore, and I especially can't do it in song. Yeah, life gets busy sometimes, and with the sporadic updates and not really doing much on the channel, I guess, I'm just gonna scrap the whole next time. I plan to do some Combiner Wars stuff, but you'll just have to wait and see what I do. Yeah, I want to do Optimus Maximus, I want to do the Xiaomi Optimus tablet, I want to do a bunch of stuff, but yeah, whole this next time stuff is just not working out. Oh well, channels change, ideas change, you can't really keep it from happening. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, give me your money!